Hey everyone. So as you can see, I am not outside. I am not at home. I'm in a restaurant. The reason I'm in a restaurant is because today I thought, let's go outside to do a video, and because it's nice to do that, right? It gives you, the viewer, something to look at, a more interesting background. But when I got out, the weather wasn't really all that nice. Weather, not climate. I have a video about that. I'll put a link. But anyway, so the weather wasn't very nice. It's not raining, but it's very overcast and it's kind of windy, which I thought would create a lot of wind noise for the video. So instead of trying to find a quiet place outside with no wind, I thought, I'm hungry, so I might as well go eat and shoot a video while I wait for my food. So here we are. Okay, anyway, in a recent video, my last video actually, but I'm not sure when I'm gonna upload this, probably my last video. Anyway, I'll put a link. I talked about the difference between presume and assume. And in that video, well, you should check it out actually, just to be sure, because I can't review the entire thing in 20 seconds, so check out the video. But basically, I said that the two words really are usually interchangeable, or maybe not completely interchangeable, but if you use the word assume all the time and never use the word presume, you'll be fine. Because I was looking up definitions. Oh yeah, come on in. Yeah, I got my food. Thank you. Come in. Oh yeah, this looks nice. Here, check it out. Look at this. Look at this. This is tonkatsu. Ton means pork, katsu means cutlet. Beautiful. Anyway, basically, if you use the word assume all the time and never use presume, you will be fine. But it got me thinking, and I was really trying to think of, when do we use presume instead of assume? Now, you don't need presume, but the word exists, so that's why I started to think about it. And I think I nailed it. It's not how you will find it explained elsewhere on the internet. Okay, it's not simply assume doesn't consider probability and presume does. I don't think that's correct, because assume does consider some probability. I think the real key to the difference between assume and presume is that assume is taken as fact without evidence or proof, but unconsciously. You don't really stop to think about it. Now, you can use assume that way, but if you do stop to think about something and then you make a best guess based on probability, then in those cases, you can go ahead and use presume. So let me give you an example. If it's something where it's just taken as normal or as usual, right? And it's not something you really put any thought into. So let's say I go to a restaurant to eat. Well, you know, I assume that they're going to give me a glass of water, right? So when I go to a restaurant and they don't serve water for free and they charge me $2 for a bottle of water to drink with my meal, it always bothers me a little bit, because I think, you know, you should have water, That's normal for most places. I assumed there would be free water. But it's not something that I think about before going into the restaurant. I don't think, should I get water? No, they'll probably have, it's not something I stop to think about. But if I did, if I stopped to think about it before going into the restaurant, and let's say I'm with my friend, and my friend says, do you think we should get something to drink before going in? I'd say, well, no, I mean, I presume they will give us water with our meal. In that case, although it's not guaranteed, I am basing my assumption. You can use assumption anytime, but I'm basing my presumption on probability, but a conscious, it's a conscious conclusion, It's one that I actually did think about. Here's another example that you can use presume. So let's say that, let's say you go to your wife's work and you see someone come to her desk and tell her to do something, and she says, yes sir, or yes ma'am, and then that person walks away. In that case, you could say, that's your boss, I presume, right? Because that person came, told your wife to do something, and your wife responded in the way that an employee would normally respond to a superior, their boss. So in this case, you can use the word presume because you are basing a conscious guess on probability. You could also say, remember, you can also say assume. Anytime you want to say presume, you can say assume instead. That's okay, but not really the reverse. So it's not exactly interchangeable in my mind. Yes, you can use assume in any situation, but you can't use presume in any situation. Not really. I don't know. Either way, it's probably not that big a deal, but that's my take on it. Anyway, I think the real distinction, when there is one, which is not always, but when there is a distinction to be made between assume and presume, I think really the defining key feature here is that when you take something without ever thinking about it, that's assume. And when you do think about it, and then you make your best guess, then it's presume. And you could almost say that to presume is to make a guess of some kind. So it's kind of like a assume and guess mixed together is the meaning of presume. That's my take. If someone out there feels differently, maybe you have some examples that contradict my definition, let me know. I'm really interested in finding out, how to really distinguish between these two words. But I'm telling you, I am confident that it's not simply that presume bases the conclusion on probability while assume does not. That's not true from what I can tell. Assume does also use probability. I'm pretty convinced that it is, whether or not you're being conscious in your assumption. If it's an assumption that is conscious, then it's also a presumption. And that's it. That's my video. Thank you for watching. Sorry if the environment is not normal or usual for me, but that's okay. Now I'm going to eat before it gets too cold. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.